Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Avengers issue 32. And this was a pretty good issue because it got us all up to speed with where kind of all the rest of the antagonistic forces that have been against the Avengers so far are right now, and kind of weaving them together into one kind of story. So the issue starts off with Namor pretty much contrasting the past when he was like coronated to what's going on today, where everything was going pretty good in the oceans. Now pollution's everywhere. They're sending cybernetic dolphins with laser beams attached to their heads to fight him. There's blood and just all kinds of crap, and he's really sick of it. So then we see that he is at this like Davy Jones saloon in the Marianas Trench, and that he's drinking right now, and the bartender's pretty much trying to figure out what's going on with him, and he doesn't like that he has had to ally himself with all these kind of villainous people that he's barely reining in, and he's just keeping it from the razor's edge of going into full-blown bloody war. Though he does ruminate on maybe letting the world have its bloody war. But of course, the bartender's like, well, you don't have to wage war on the whole surface world. I mean, your main bad guy force would be the Avengers, so why don't you, like, I don't know, ally yourself with the vampires? It's like, okay, what's going on there? We then switch over, we see that the vampires are being pretty selective with who they let in, pretty much giving it a test to see if they could survive outside a little bit with the sun. I'm like, oh Jesus, before being let back in. Dracula's like, yeah, we got to make sure that our vampire empire is strong before they'll kneel before their unholy lord. And Lady Blood's like, well, we could use some allies, floating the idea of them allying with the Russians. It's like, huh, weird. We then flip over to the Winter Guard, which this was pretty interesting because we see that this is an analog to the old school kind of Avengers. They have a mansion, they have a kind of Jarvis, they come back home from a mission, and the Jarvis isn't really that smooth at all. I mean, he just kind of was. He floats the idea to Red Widow of aligning with Namor and the vampires. She immediately stabs his ass and has it ordered to take him to a room for interrogation. And it's like, yeah, okay, we'll have to see kind of how that goes with the Red Widow and kind of what her whole deal is, because she then goes into her room, throws her sword into a wall, and we see there's like a lot of swords in those walls as she's kind of meditating. And we see somebody's talking about something, and we find out that it is Black Widow talking to Blade, pretty much being like, well, listen, we both have bloody kind of pasts, and telling him not to kind of lead, to kind of stay. And Blade's like, well, you're leaving, and she's like, well, I don't lead the Avengers, not for long anyway. And that the team kind of needs you. And trying to stay, like, having this kind of dichotomy of, like, trying to stay as far away from home as possible isn't kind of the best kind of option. And that he definitely belongs on the team. And I agree. Now, granted, Blade usually does most of his best work alone, but he's been doing pretty well. I mean, they even talk about it as they're going through that they were in outer space and they saved each other's asses for that. And Blade's like, fine, yeah, and boy thing, we'll stay here, but if anybody calls me brother, tells me to change a diaper, I'm out of here. We then switch over to seeing Tony and Thor, and Tony is just kind of like, I'm just trying to catch up on the situation. Is this Starbrand baby mine? Am I a Starbrand? Did I bang this chick? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much on par with Tony to be like, I've got to figure out if I had this, if this is my kid. Because of how playboy Tony's been. And it's just like, that was a pretty funny kind of thing. Thor's like, no. I failed the mother and this kid because I was infected with that brood thing, and talking about how he still craves kind of space meat and all that. It's like, oh, but he's like saying that he's going to be godfather to this little one and protect her. I'm like, yay, Thor. I'm like, that definitely would be Thor's kind of thing. And then Tony's like, well, I'm just trying to get back to normal and get back into things, so is there something we should be punching? We then switch over and we see that Coulson is talking to someone on the phone, being like very deferential to him. And I'm like, yeah, it's got to be Mephisto, and saying that the Squadron Supreme will be there, whatever he needs. And then, of course, we switch over, we see Mephisto talking, and Mephisto's side of that conversation, as he then hangs up saying that like he's getting everything together, he's being kind of more respectable, that he is behind all those overtures to try and have a uniting force. We still don't know his end-game goal, but it definitely would result in like the destruction of the Avengers. We then close out the issue that Namor is not as stupid as, well, he is not falling from Mephisto's trap. I wouldn't say he's not acting stupid because he decided that yes, the sea needs allies, but he does that by trying to reach out to the Phoenix Force and is going to try and use that. So that is a kind of, I understand that he needs help and everything, but if he would just go to the Avengers, it would help him. Definitely Steve would help him. I mean, they've been the invaders and everything. Like, you don't have to do this all alone. Yes, being a king means a lot of responsibility, but being a king also understands that you need to reach out to help and to get help if you need it. Needing help is not a weakness. Now, granted, there is the animosity between Namor and T'Challa for what had gone on with the Phoenix Force before, and this is not going to kind of make matters any much better. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to shake out, because that's a kind of wild card thing. We've got Mephisto's forces on one side, we got Namor doing his thing with the Phoenix Force, and we got the Avengers having to deal with Starbrand baby. Now, granted, they could unleash that baby to do some whole whoop-ass kind of stuff. But it's a baby, and I don't think it knows how to control its power. I mean, it could fart the wrong direction and blow off half of a continent. So, that baby's either going to be using its powers in a weird-ass way, or they're going to have to protect that baby and be like, what the hell's going to happen? The Avengers are definitely going to have their hands full, and they're probably going to have to call in a lot of other Avengers to deal with this and make sure that this doesn't spiral into one clusterfuck that it probably will get into. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.